Who has directly saved the most lives in history? Stanislav Petrov has to be high on that list. Soviets got a false alarm that US had launched nukes. Petrov was supposed to launch back, but judged that it was a false alarm and held off. Single-handedly averted https://n.m.wikipedia.org wiki Stanislav Petrov. I'm sure there are some others on the list, but that dude is pretty high up. Probably some doctor in a very poor country. Vasily Alexandrovich Arkhipov, a Soviet naval officer on a Soviet submarine. During the Kuban Missile Crisis, his U-boat lost all contact with the Soviet Union. The Soviet doctrine at that time said that if a U-boat loses all contact for a certain amount, they have to assume that Soviet mainland got nuked, and in turn start their retaliation attack. To do that, 3 naval officers on the U-boat have to authorize the use of their nuclear weapons. But Vasily Alexandrovich Arkhipov refused to agree, preventing the launch of their nuclear weapons and in turn preventing a global nuclear war. 60 U2.bx0 SMPZ equals Q1 IT 4 FM LXS 2G Tech. Sir Nicholas Winton organized the Czech Kindertransport, rescuing 669 children from Czechoslovakia during World War II. He secured their safe passage to Britain and arranged foster homes, remaining largely unrecognized until a public reunion in 1988 highlighted his heroic efforts. Maybe not the most lives, but that video is worth watching. Raoul Wallenberg's n.m.wikipedia.org wiki. Raoul Wallenberg saved thousands of Jews during the Holocaust. The article has a couple different estimates, but I suppose it's fair to say he saved between 4,500 to 9,000 people. Lister? Bomb diffusers might be a good guess, or otherwise emergency medical personnel who worked road rescue for a long career. Isn't there some guy in Australia who donates stem cells or some other incredibly rare enzyme that only he produces? The lads who died in the radioactive water in Chernobyl to stop the explosion that would have most of Eurasia. Henrietta Lacks and her HeLa cells. Shout out for Florence Nightingale. Her work on the hygienic and proper care of patients undoubtedly prevented the development of hospital infections. Not seeing him mentioned, so here is another WW2 hero, Chiyun Sugihara, the only Japanese national to be awarded Righteous Among Nations, issued thousands of visas to Jewish families that allowed them to travel through Japanese territory to escape Europe. He risked his life and the life of his entire family in doing so. When he was reassigned from Poland, he was furiously signing blank visas until the last moments and throwing them into the crowd out the train window as he pulled out of the station, estimated to have saved thousands of lives. James Harrison has a natural antibody against rhesus disease. Estimates say he is directly responsible for saving 2.4 million babies. Probably Alexander Fleming, the inventor of penicillin and the basis for modern-day antibiotics. Ignaz Semmelweis III, 18 to 1865, is known as the father of hand hygiene and infection control. In 1846, Semmelweis, a Hungarian physician working at an obstetric department in Vienna, Austria, noticed that women delivered by doctors and medical students had a higher mortality rate than those delivered by midwives. He theorized that doctors and medical students were carrying cadaverous particles from autopsies into the maternity ward, and in 1847 he discovered that washing hands with chlorinated lime solutions before visiting patients reduced mortality. HMMMM seems like to directly save the most lives. You'd need to be in situations where a bunch of people were in mortal danger and then do something to make them survive on a regular basis. If putting out a fire that would have burned someone to death counts as directly saving their life, then my guess is a firefighter working in an area that is very flammable and has a lot of people with mobility issues. If it doesn't, then my guess is someone who drives a vehicle that could ferry a bunch of people away from danger at once. Stanislav Petrov, the Soviet officer who refused to start nuclear attack in 1983. Norman Borlaug, for pioneering high-yield wheat farming, staving off starvation for millions. My first 2 thoughts are, Dr. Alexander Fleming for discovering penicillin, or maybe Banting and his team for discovering insulin. Dr. John Snow,